Okay, in this second video, I'm going to show you how to create a motion path on a point layer. So we have a 10-second animation set up here along our editor timeline. So the first thing you're going to want to do once you get your background and your object into your video is to create a new composite shot. So click on New, choose Composite Shot. And we're going to go up here and change the duration to 10 seconds, the same as our editor timeline. So change that to 10 seconds. Everything else should be the same. Click OK. And there's our composite shot. And we got a 10-second there. It's perfect. So now we want to get our background on there. And we also want to get our object, which in this case is a race car. Let's see. I'm going to get rid of this composite shot. I don't need that one. Okay, and then here's our race car. We're going to put that on there. And we're going to move the object above the racetrack so you can see it. And first thing I want to do is make sure my anchor point's dead center in the car. So I'm going to go ahead and click on the race car, transform, anchor point, and then I'm going to go ahead and adjust that, or adjust the car so the anchor point's about dead center in the vehicle. That's pretty close right there. I'm just eyeballing it. That should do the trick right there. Okay, so once my anchor point's set where I want, I'm in good shape there. And then the next thing I want to do is resize it here. So I'm just going to go up to one of the handles here, hold down Shift, and then click my mouse and drag it to the center of the screen to make that small enough to cruise around on this track. That should do it. And then I'm going to grab my little rotation here, get that set up, and just set up the car where I want it to start. About right there is probably good. Rotate it a little more, and let's make it a little bit smaller while we're at it. That should be just about perfect right there. Okay, so I can close up these windows, or close that. And so the race car is on top, then we have the racetrack underneath. So what we're going to do now is we're going to create a new layer up above the race car. And so we're going to go up to this new layer here on the composite shot timeline, click plus new layer, and we're going to choose what's called a point layer on the bottom here. So click point layer. So now we have a new point layer here, and we're going to double click that, and again we're going to change our anchor point here to match the car. Actually, let's just move that over. I think that's all we have to do there. That should be good there. And we're going to call this motion path. So just right click on the layer, choose rename, or F2 is your shortcut, and we'll call that motion path. Okay, and so on this path now we can create any kind of keyframing we want. So I'm going to go to transform here, and we're going to do position. Okay, and make sure your scrub key on the timeline here is set to 0. We're going to click position to start our keyframing. Now we're going to move the scrub key over a little bit, about that far, I guess maybe halfway. And we're going to just click our point there and just go ahead and keyframe it. Again, drag your scrub key there and then drag your point. Okay, that's how it works. We'll do about equal distance there. Again, same thing, about there. Then drag your point here. Again, all the while making sure you're on the motion path layer, which I am. Okay, and then grab your scrub key, drag your point, and you can see the motion path being created here. It's a little farther. Let's come back. Again, I'm trying to get them close to equal distance from each other. Okay, Drag it, maybe come out here a little bit. Maybe it's having trouble with the turn. All right, and then we're going to keep going here. So we're about 4 seconds into it, so we're in good shape. Okay. All right. We'll go up here to about 5 seconds into it. Keep dragging your scrub key and then drag your point. Same thing every time. Grab your scrub key over, drag your scrub key over on the timeline, then drag your point. Oops, let's keep going here. About right there. Have them come here. About 6 seconds in, we're doing pretty good on time. Maybe have them come. Yeah, about there is good. Have them come over here. Okay, a little bit more. It's good. And then a little bit more here. Very tedious, but this is how you create a motion path that you can parent the object to eventually. So you can do the motion path separate from the object if you want. It's another convenient way to keyframe a motion path for a smooth loop, maybe. Okay, maybe a little bit less. There we go. It comes out here a little ways. Maybe over to the edge. Okay, and then out here. And then last one, we'll just go right to, well, maybe a little before 10. We won't drag it all the way to that point. We'll give it a little bit of a gap there, so maybe it'll smoothly jump when we loop it. So now I'll probably go ahead and adjust these frames a little bit to be a little more equidistant from each other. If that happens, just click back on your motion path layer and you can adjust these frames equidistant from each other if you'd like. Again, I'm just kind of manually doing it. Again, not too much, just enough to adjust the speed a little bit of each. Let's see here. Let's go back a frame. And we'll see how it jumps to that other one. So let's see what we have so far. So you can play through it, and you won't see anything because the object isn't parented to it yet. But you can see the keyframes that are here on the timeline are pretty close together, except that ending one. So I'll have to make some adjustments here. I can go here on the bottom and make some movements here. Adjust these kind of equidistant from each other. Again, just making some manual adjustments here. That looks pretty good. Now, the next thing you do after you draw your motion path is you want to parent. We can close this up for a second. We're going to parent this, or this path is going to be parented to the race car. So we're going to go down to the race car now, click that layer, the race car second layer. Where it says none to the right here along the timeline or along the layer 2, click that arrow by the word none and choose motion path. Now what we've done is we've parented the car to this path. So when I play the animation, the car should follow the path. And that's what we want. So far we have the car going along and doing what the path is telling it to do. So that's the first step to finishing your motion path parent project, is to create a point layer above your object and then just open up your point layer and treat it like it's any other object, and you just do your keyframes, whether it's position, scale, rotation, or anchor point. And you do that by pressing the little button here, then dragging your scrub key, and then dragging your anchor point and creating the motion path.